How's everybody doing this fine Saturday afternoon? I know I just talked to y'all, man, but we do have some breaking news regarding the Dallas Cowboys. So they have went ahead and they have hired Brian Schottenheimer to be the new offensive coordinator going forward for the 2023 season. And as you know, this is a name that we've talked about in depth for these past couple of shows. No, we really dug into this. This was the guy that we pretty much pegged would get the starting job. I know these other guys came in and they interviewed, but remember, you heard it here. We told y'all that was pretty much a Rooney Rule interview. They were interviewing people because under the Rooney Rule they have to interview people of color, for these positions. So like these were some nice names that they threw around. Gary Murphy, what's up? Tyrone Church, what's up with you? Hoodlum, I appreciate you for tapping back in. James Simmons, what's up with you? Yeah, so we saw it coming. We knew that this was the guy that they had pegged from the get-go. And when you really just look at it, it's not a bad hire because you got to think about the circumstances. We got to think about the circumstances around the hire. The Dallas Cowboys are known for hiring guys that are already in-house. Brian Schottenheimer has been here on the team, right? He's somebody that was working as an offensive analyst for us, right? He was an offensive analyst for us, and now he's going to move forward. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. And when you really think about it, Mike McCarthy has already came out. Puncho, what's up with you, man? What's good with you? Yeah, Matt Bannon. It's not a bad hire. He's just okay. He said he doesn't think it's a good hire. Well, we won't know it's a good hire until he actually starts calling the plays, right? Because there are people telling us going into the first season of Dan Quinn that he wasn't a good hire. Just because guys have issues at their last stop does not mean they will fail at their next destination, right? When you think about it, most coaches fail, before they get to the right situation. Bill Belichick, who is highly regarded as one of the best coaches in the NFL history, failed, in Cleveland. If they, gave up on him and didn't give him a chance in New England, things could probably be different around the NFL. And, when you think about Schottenheimer, he runs a run-heavy offense, a lot of stretch runs, a lot of power runs, a lot of play action off of that. When he does pass, there are some concepts with some West Coast philosophies in there. So it fits well with what Mike McCarthy wants to do. And you really couldn't go out and get a huge, big name offensive coordinator just based off the simple fact that, Mike McCarthy is going to be the play caller, right? Mike McCarthy is going to get the credit. He's going to get the glory for calling the plays. So, I don't think you could have went out and got anybody who was a known name offensive coordinator and, marry him with Mike McCarthy because there would be friction there again, just like there was friction between Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore reportedly at the end. Like you want somebody who was experienced. Brian Schottenheimer has been coaching in this league since 1997, right? That's almost 30 years worth of credentials right there, right? He's been an offensive coordinator for several seasons, right? At his last stop, he did produce a couple of top 10 scoring offenses. He did produce 2 top 5 rushing offenses. So, like, he is a guy. Oh, no. Yeah, of course you got to give him a shot. And I get it. There were, like, better names available. Right, Matt? Like, there was Byron Leftwich available. Like Cliff Kingsbury, even though he says he doesn't want to coach right now, was available. Like, there are a bunch of guys. Greg Roman was available. There's a bunch of guys who have big names that have had success in the NFL as play callers that were available. I think Brian Schottenheimer is a good hire. He fits Dak's strengths. My question is how they going to shake Zeke back. That's who's going to need to be taking a pay cut. And, hey, Tuck, my guy, I appreciate you for tapping in. I do agree with that. Because remember, for everybody that's not familiar with it, Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator for Russell Wilson, right? From 2018 to 2020, he was the offensive coordinator, for the Seattle Seahawks, and they had success. right? They made it to the playoffs all 3 of those seasons, right? They produced, top 10 scoring offenses in a couple of those seasons. They had a good run game in those seasons. And as Tuck pointed out, Dak Prescott is a very, serviceable quarterback when he's in play action situations. And Brian Schottenheimer runs a lot of play action. So I do agree. This is a guy, like even with Mike McCarthy calling the play, this is a guy whose system will help Dak Prescott. And as for Ezekiel Elliott, like Ezekiel Elliott is who he is right now. The hope for Ezekiel Elliott, because he probably is going to take a pay cut, to remain a Dallas Cowboy. I know it's reported, by his own father that like they have not had those conversations yet. But I do know how the Dallas Cowboys negotiate. They negotiate in the public. They drop that for a reason. They want Ezekiel Elliott to take a pay cut. They want him back, but they do want Ezekiel Elliott to take a pay cut to remain on the team. So, hopefully before June the 2nd, they come out, and they are able to restructure the contract, keep Zeke on the team. And this is the reason why I think it's probably a good idea at this point to keep Zeke. Brian Schottenheimer is going to run the hell out the ball, right? Like that is what his scheme is based off of. His scheme is based off the power run and the play action off of it, right? So he's going to need running backs. Tony Pollard is injured, and he's not currently on the team. Ezekiel Elliott, if you cut Zeke, the only running back you have on the team will be Malik Davis. But not even Rico Dowdle is on the team right now. Rico Dowdle is a free agent, and Tony Pollard is a free agent, right? So if you cut Zeke right now, you have one damn running back on your team. And with the amount of times that Brian Schottenheimer is going to want to run the ball, you're going to need Zeke. Now, even if you bring Ezekiel Elliott back, right, it doesn't mean that he has to be the lead back. Maybe you work something out with Tony Pollard, or you tag him and you retain him. Because, they're saying that Tony Pollard could be completely healthy to start the season. So you still need some serviceable running backs. Keep Zeke, but not at $16 million. Give Zeke 7 to 6. It just depends on because they can cut Zeke and save $10 million and just not have him on the team. If they cut Ezekiel Elliott, June the 2nd or after, they will save $10.5 million by cutting Ezekiel Elliott. So I do think like Zeke will work out a pay cut. They might be able to meet some middle ground, keep his services, and have a reduced cap hit on them. Same thing they're going to do with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's going to make $49 million this year. They're going to just restructure his deal. And then he'll be on the team at a lower cap hit, and he'll have extra years on this thing. So like they will find creative ways to keep players around and keep their production. Because you got to think about it, man. We fired our offensive coordinator, right? We parted ways with him because we did not think he was getting the best out of our players. Please don't cut Zeke. Praise. Yeah, I don't want to cut Zeke. I want Zeke because we need the offensive. We need the offensive firepower right now. We need Zeke. We need Tony Pollard, right? We need to go out and use our draft picks to fill up the roster in other areas we need. If Pollard is healthy, in my mind, it's no question. Bring him back. Try to renegotiate Zeke's deal. If it works out, cool. If not, I'm finding a back in free agency that can do the same thing for less money. And what's crazy, Tuck? Like there are a ton of running backs that are available in free agency. The issue is like the running back market is so crazy right now. Because listen, the league leading rusher is out there in free agency right now, Josh Jacobs. Like he just had 1,600 yards rushing, and his team doesn't want him. Saquon Barkley is going to be a free agent, right? So like there are questions about the running back position as in a whole. This is how the NFL values their services, right? Because there are guys that you could argue are top 5 running backs that are free right now, and like other positions that doesn't happen. A top 5 wide receiver never hits the open market. A top 5 quarterback never hits the open market. But we have top 5 running backs, multiple top 5 running backs on the market at the same time right now. So, it is possible to bring in somebody to replace the production of Ezekiel Elliott, but you also want to try to bring Zeke back just off the fact before Kellen Moore, like Ezekiel Elliott was an all-pro running back, right? So just based on the fact that Ezekiel Elliott's carries and attempts have went down every single season, right? Maybe you can get Zeke, get the old Zeke back just by going back to a run-heavy offense, right? Because right now, as it calls, he's splitting carries. He's not getting the number of carries he used to, to have that production. Like guys like Derrick Henry, who really average around the same yardage per touch, like Zeke might only get 15 carries in a game, and Derrick Henry's going to get 30 to 31. So, it's really hard to judge if Ezekiel Elliott has anything left in the tank because we hardly even use Ezekiel Elliott, right? Ezekiel Elliott get 10 carries, and that's just a warm-up. Like, Ezekiel Elliott, when he was Ezekiel Elliott that everybody fell in love with, he might start slow, right? He might only start off with 10 carries for 30 yards or 10 carries for 20-something yards. But in those next 15, 17, 18 carries he's going to get, he used to go hard. He used to use that, and he used to start slow and end fast sometimes. But now, like, Ezekiel is not even getting an opportunity to get going. If he does not do anything with his first 10 to 15 carries, he's not getting the ball again. So, in Ezekiel's defense, right, just being reasonable, running back that's still under 30 years old, he might still have some thread on the tires, right? But we'll have to figure out the finances. But you definitely are going to need running backs. Now, if you were to tell me you wanted to move on from Ezekiel Elliott completely and then draft somebody in the first round like Bijan Robinson, who contract you can control for 7 years, right? You draft a running back in the first round. He has the 4 years on his rookie deal. He has the 5th-year option. Then you can tag him 2 times without too much of a cap penalty, right? So if you wanted to go that route and get somebody who could possibly be a great player on a rookie deal and keep him for the foreseeable future, I would be open to that too, right? But you need to keep one. You need to keep at least Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard. You really could keep them both for pretty cheap because I'm pretty sure Zeke will take a pay cut. I'm pretty sure you can get away with tagging Tony. So, like, you get both those guys for under $20 million, right? This year coming up, you can get both of them for under $20 million. If Ezekiel Elliott takes a little haircut, takes a restructure, bring that cap hit down, then you can tag Tony Pollard. There's only a $10 million hit there. Theoretically, you can get both of these guys for under $20 million. Or, like I said, if you want to use a first-round draft capital on a running back, which I wouldn't do, right? Because listen, it really depends because Bijan Robinson is special. If he fell all the way to us at 26, all right, and he's the best player available, I would take him. If he's the best player available when we pick, I would take him. Yeah, Tavis Banks, what's up with you, man? You said activate Malik Davis. Yeah, I think Malik Davis can be a serviceable back. But, this is the thing. Like the same way that not one receiver, like in 2021, like Amari Cooper had to speak out about his touches. Like the same thing really could have happened in the running back room if Ezekiel Elliott was not more mature, right? Because it's not like Tony Pollard just getting a gang more carries than Zeke. They're both getting about 15 carries, right? They're both only getting about 15, 16 carries a game. And, luckily for Tony Pollard, he's so explosive, right? So he's not a guy that needs volume carry to be productive. But even in some games with Tony Pollard, it's slow to get started. Like, they go away from him. So, like, hopefully in a new offensive setup, in a new offensive system, you will see more consistency from our running backs. You will see more consistency from our play calling, and you will see more consistency from Dak Prescott. But now you're pairing Mike McCarthy, right, with a guy who has West Coast principles in his passing game, but is also very run heavy in his scheme, who also very heavy on play action. Like, I think that is a good marriage, if I'm being honest with you, right? Mike McCarthy has the experience. He was a Super Bowl winner as a play caller. He had 8 consecutive seasons of being a top 10 scoring offense when he was the play caller in Green Bay. Then you have Brian Schottenheimer, who has a very, very, very strong run game. Because remember, we played Seattle when he was the offensive coordinator there. Like, they had no good running back on their team, and he still turned that team into the number 1 rushing attack in all of football. So, just based on his background, I think it'll be a good hire. We want to run the ball. We have good running backs. We have good tight ends, and we have a quarterback who is really top. He is a top quarterback when it comes to play action. And you look at all his advanced numbers. And even in the 49ers game that we lost, Dak Prescott was like 7 of 8 for 100-something yards and a touchdown on play action. It's the regular dropbacks that got Dak Prescott in trouble, but he has never looked bad off of play action. Tommy Montoya, what's up with you, man? Good afternoon, Henny. DC4L, Cowboys Nation. I know that's right. Facts in dog. Look what Brian did to Kenneth Walker. True. The zone. Yeah, for real. Like this zone running scheme, the stretch runs, the power runs, like that can really add a dimension to us that we needed for a long time. Yeah, man. I like his background too. And he's from a coaching background, right? Because his daddy was a coach. For those who are not familiar with him, right? His father was a coach for several years. Marty Schottenheimer, if y'all don't remember who Marty Schottenheimer is. And Marty just passed last year. Lord bless his soul. But if you remember Marty Schottenheimer, he was a good play caller in the league for several years. He coached on some of those Kansas City teams back in the day. Right? Then you look back, let's see. I'll give y'all a clear picture of what he did. All right. He was the head coach for the Browns in the mid 80s, head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs for several seasons, like over a decade. He was the head coach for the Redskins, head coach for the Chargers. Right. So Marty coached in the NFL from the 70s to 2000 and 2006. So he was a long time coach out there. So he has a good pedigree, good coaching background from his father. Let's see. I hope this new OC helps that. Listen, any OC that is going to run the ball and use play action is going to help that. So like Dak Prescott, really, when you look at the positives, he's going to play in the West Coast style offense, which is very quarterback friendly. It's a bunch of slants, bunch of not no curls. It's really a bunch of slants, bunch of flats, post routes, corner routes. He's not going to have to hold the ball long, right? The ball is going to be predicated on getting the ball out in a timely manner, and he's going to know in this offense where his receivers are going to be. Like ain't gonna be no second guessing or no hitching. Big Bud Cowboy, what's good with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. We all can agree he's better. Yeah, Kellen Moore is way too pass happy. Yeah, because listen. So Dak Prescott got a bunch of things going for him this year. He's going to be playing in a West Coast offense, right? It's very quarterback friendly. If you don't believe it's quarterback friendly, look what Joe Montana did in it. Look what Brett Favre did in it. Look what Aaron Rodgers did in it. And he's going to be coached by the same coach that coached all 3 of those guys, in Mike McCarthy, right? Then, Brian Schottenheimer. Hey, Chris Davis, what's up with you? Appreciate you tapping in with me. Schottenheimer is going to be very run heavy. Right, so he's going to support his quarterback with a run game, and right in his offense, he's going to let Dak Prescott run the ball some. Right, we seen that with Russell Wilson. He's going to move the pocket for Dak Prescott. He's going to call some option plays. He's going to allow his quarterback to be involved in the run game. He's going to also, put his quarterback in position. Yeah, there's no stops, hitches, and curls in Brian's playbook. No. Because everything about the West Coast offense is about getting your star players in space. That's why one of the staple routes in that offense is the slant. A little quick pass, right? In breaking route, get the ball into the hands of a playmaker and let them try to run after catch, right? That's why there's a bunch of passes to the running backs in these schemes. You will see a Texas route, right? You might see a halfback choice every now and then, but it's going to be some check downs to the running back. It's going to be some screens to the running back, screens to the wide receivers, slants, posts, right? They're going to get the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands. There's not going to be a lot of passes going past a 7-step drop. It's going to be 3-step drops and 5-step drops, right? There's not going to be a lot of 7-step drops in this offense. So Dak Prescott's going to be playing in a quarterback-friendly offense with a run game, with play action. So you should see the Dak Prescott that was Rookie of the Year. You should see the Dak Prescott that was a multi-time Pro Bowler in this offense, right? So that is something to keep an eye out on. Most teams run a form of West Coast offense with Kellen Moore, Dak West Coast offense in 2016. Yeah, Lamb a yak machine. Yes, Lamb is a yak machine. Or Cowboys are a top running offense, especially with Terrence Steele coming back. Yeah, man, like that's really why I don't want to go out of my way and just throw away my my first round pick. Like now that we got our OC, right? We know what kind of system he wants to run. Now we can look at free agency and see which available players fit the scheme we're gonna run, right? So we need receivers that are good after the catch. You need some good running backs, and if you don't get anything done with Terrence Steele, you need to find you another right tackle. So like it's starting to form together now, like the picture of what we need moving forward. Because we knew we had a couple of holes in the roster, but like some of them will be more prudent than others depending on who was going to come back. Because up until a long time, it looked like Kellen Moore was going to be back as the offensive play caller. When he got shipped out of here, the dynamic changed. Right, we had to wait and see who the offensive coordinator would be. Now we knew that Big Mike, pretty shortly after the Kellen Moore fire would be the play caller, but we also knew that Big Mike was going to bring in somebody as an actual offensive coordinator to help him with the preparation. Darnell Wright is having a good Senior Bowl. Okay, this is a name I'm gonna keep up. Matter of fact, when Landlord goes live later on, all y'all need to jump on Landlord live. Landlord is at the Senior Bowl right now. I just talked to Ken Folk, so he gonna have some good exclusive stuff for y'all when he get back, man. Yeah, because he in Alabama, he went ahead and drove down there to the Senior Bowl, and when I talked to him, he was out there watching them. And surprisingly, he actually did say that that Max Duggan boy was having a good game so far. Now, I just talked to him not too long ago. I talked to him right before I got on this show. So, like, whenever Landlord go live, all y'all go over there, show my brother some love and support. He will have some exclusive stuff for y'all. He will have firsthand knowledge of the stuff going on at the Senior Bowl. I hope Jerry Jones goes in big on free agency. That's what Super Bowl caliber teams do. We spoke with Kenny McIntosh have a great Senior Bowl. So y'all dropping these names. I'm finna start taking some notes. Talk to you an hour too. Mm-hmm. Indeed. But yeah, so y'all dropping some fire names. I'm gonna drop down some of these names, and I'm gonna go and do some film study and some statistical breakdowns on them since you bring these guys up. So I see y'all said Kenny McIntosh, y'all said Darnell Wright, and then we already talked about Max Duggan earlier. So just these different names that are coming up, I will, as the offseason progresses, I will spend more time breaking down these players, see how they would fit into our system, especially now. Pineapple Fanta is good. More fire. Boy, fire's mother. But yes. So I'm happy with it, man. We get the best of both worlds. We get somebody who is not doing on-the-job training. Kellen Moore, I know he had a bunch of potential, but his first go at being offensive coordinator was right here, right? It was right here with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, he woke up one day, he was just the OC. No other prior. That's my favorite flavor of Fanta. Yeah, I got this. Then we got some got strawberry too. Yeah, I got strawberry. Yeah, like, you go to the grocery store, you buy 3 of them at a discount. So I got some Fanta, pineapple, some strawberry, and I got some Coke. Cowboys talked with the running back from Georgia. Okay. More, you tell him his background. I like it. Yeah, indeed. Oh, the more that I tell you his background. Yeah, because look, like Kellen Moore, man, like I was saying, like he only had the 4 years here as an OC, right? You go back and look at Brian, Philly Sports Radio is still talking Cowboys. They got the little brother complex, man, right? They ain't used to nothing. Like I'm gonna give the Philadelphia Eagles their flowers. The last 20 years, they have been one of the better franchises in the NFC. Excuse me. They made a bunch of championship games. They go on to 3 Super Bowls. They won 1 so far. So I will give them their flowers. But no matter how successful the Philadelphia Eagles are, they will always feel slighted. Because they would never get the fanfare of the Dallas Cowboys, and it's impossible, right? It is impossible. We have the biggest fan base. We have the biggest fan base in football, right? So everybody wants to talk about the Cowboys. Everybody wants to cover the Cowboys. They will never get the fanfare, or the love, or admiration that the Dallas Cowboys do, no matter what they do. And they have been, and let's keep it real, they have been the more successful franchise the last 20 years. But like no matter what they do, they always have to tie it back into Dallas. Because they had that little brother complex for real. They know no matter what they do, that Dallas will always be mama's favorite. Like the Philadelphia Eagles could cure cancer, and the national media will still talk about Dallas more. Nobody cares about the Eagles except for people in Philadelphia. They don't have this big ass international fan base like we do. So they always gonna feel some type of way. But I will give them their flowers. They have proven to be a very competent franchise the last 20 years. Only have 1 Super Bowl still, right? But they have proven, that they know how to put together teams that can legitimately, challenge for a Super Bowl. So I will give them that. Where do you think Jerry should go in on our first round pick on offense or defense? Well, this is the thing. At 20, we're picking at number 26, right? So I'm at this mindset now. You're so far down in the first round, you are damn near picking in the second round anyway. So really, at pick number 26, I would go best player available, regardless, of the position, right? So if Bijan Robinson is there, right? If he's the best player available, take him. If the best player available there is a wide receiver, maybe not, because you still have to pay. He runs the ball too damn much. But this is the thing. Mike McCarthy's going to call the plays. And Mike McCarthy doesn't run the ball enough. So, maybe it will balance out, right? Because Mike McCarthy, he has a very pass-happy offense. Brian Schottenheimer has a very run-heavy offense. They respect these. I think they will respect each other enough to have a nice median. And if we're honest, right, Mike McCarthy was the one that pushed for Kellen Moore to run the ball more this year, right? Given our personnel and all this other stuff, he wanted us to run the ball more. And he was really the one that pretty much forced Kellen Moore's hand in running the ball more often. So I actually do think that this will work out. Because Mike McCarthy is a guy that's going to want to throw the ball, but it's not he like it is not just like throwing the ball for. We continue on the buddy system that kills me. Well, this is the thing, right? Buddy system. When you have a head coach that is going to call the plays anyway, like the offensive coordinator is going to be a glorified assistant regardless, right? Because we see that around the league with other. Offensive coordinator, head coaches that call the plays, right? You see it in Kansas City, right? Because the enemy's calling plays now, but Andy Reid was at one point calling the plays as the head coach, even though he had an offensive coordinator, right? So there are plenty of head coaches that call their own plays. Hell, Jason Garrett for several seasons called his own plays. as a head coach. So, like that is something that is not really foreign around the league. There are plenty of head coaches that made their bones as offensive coordinators. And, they want to be the guy that calls the offense. Just like there are several defensive head coaches that made their bones as defensive coordinators, and they still call the defense. So, it just really, depends on how it works out. Like the buddy system can be a detriment. I get what you're saying, my guy. Because we saw it just last year. We saw Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore bumping heads, right? We seen that. But, it also can work. It just depends on the people and the personalities. I don't know much about Brian Schottenheimer, but, he knew what it was coming into the gig. So I don't think there's going to be too much pushback from him. It's cool because we should have ever abandoned the run, especially with Dak being our quarterback, because Dak is an awesome West Coast QB. I agree with that. Because listen, the things that make Dak Prescott a good quarterback is his accuracy. Because I know people be like, Dak misses. No, listen. He's top 10 all time in completion percentage for a reason, right? He is good, accurate quarterback when he knows where his receivers will be. In the West Coast offense, at all times, he's going to know once I get to this depth on my drop back, option A is going to be open, right? That is how that works, right? So that when Dak Prescott knows where his receiver is going to end up and he does not have to guess with the option routes, he is very good at getting the ball where it's supposed to be, right? He is also very good outside of the pocket. He is the Dallas Cowboys all-time leader in rushing touchdowns because of his ability to extend plays and to get yardage with his legs, right? So Dak Prescott, great running the ball, great outside of the pocket. He's even great running, throwing the ball on the move. So just to think that we can put Dak Prescott in an offense that will showcase this, right? You have to feel confident going forward into the next season. I agree with Big Bud. I want a proven wide receiver too. Big Bud said, I think Jerry's going to spend some money in free agency this year. He's seen Philly getting there to Super Bowl. Yeah, I think, and then it's possible too for him to sign one because there's going to be a lot. It's not even a question of if they extend Dak Prescott. It's about a question of when, right? So I expect them to clear a lot of cap space when they, extend Dak Prescott. I expect them to clear cap space with Ezekiel Elliott one way or the other, whether it's a cut or a restructure. Hey, Jazzy Jeff, what's good? And then Tyron Smith. I'm pretty sure he'll restructure or extend or whatever to clear cap space. So there's three players I pretty much expect to restructure or renegotiate or get extended and clear a ton of cap space. And even with guys wanting extensions, like Trayvon Diggs' extension will not, affect this year's cap hit. So that's a mute point. Before anybody gets on here talking about we can't pay this or that, he still has a year left on his deal, right? They can extend Trayvon Diggs, give him the money that he wants, give him the guarantees that he wants, and it will not affect this year's cap space, right? They can do the same with CeeDee Lamb. It will not affect this year's cap space, and you really got CeeDee Lamb for 2 more years before the damn extension even kicks in, right? He just gets a little bit of extra money up front. So you can extend Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb this offseason without messing up your cap, right? And adding other players and clearing room with some restructures. So, before anybody gets out here talking about we don't have money for this or that, there's plenty of ways that Dallas Cowboys can manufacture some cap, right? They do it all the time. That's why, it seemed like the Rams were able to sign everybody and their mama. You can manipulate the cap. There's plenty of ways to manipulate the cap. The issue is down the line, sometimes it might come back and bite you years later. But if you're trying to really go all in these next couple of years and win a Super Bowl, there are plenty of options to create cap space to get better players in and to keep the good players that we do have. So yeah. So I could see us going out and getting a good receiver. Yeah, pay Diggs and Lamb. Pay them both. Hit the like button, everyone. Like West Coast says, don't be stealing from the church. For real though. Hey, I appreciate Tom. I appreciate that. So yeah, so I'm good with it. How do some of y'all feel though, man? And like we said, we seen it coming, right? We know they brought in, the other two gentlemen. Like we pretty much told y'all, there was probably Rooney Rule, interviews or whatnot. So that proved true. More than Hawks Cowboys. What's up with you, man? So yeah, that was proven true. So we'll see what they do going forward now. But yeah, I like the signing. I like the signing. All right. So really, man, it was an impromptu show. I was not planning to go live again until later on in the day. But the Dallas Cowboy dropped this on me while I was still out there. Yeah, they cheap as hell. Jerry and Steven are cheap as hell. We known that for a long time. Mike can handle pass plays. Brian can handle the run plays. OG Mac 06, yeah. I agree with that. Because like with his background, you don't even need, we don't even need a run game coordinator. Because we got a very run oriented, OC. We got a very, efficient, pass game coordinator in Mike McCarthy. So a pass game coordinator and a run game coordinator, you probably don't even need them at this point. Because just based on the background of these guys, like Mike knows how to call up some good passing plays and Brian knows how to run the ball. So like they just need to come together as a brain trust and put together the offense that they think can lead us to number 6. I'm just ready to see who we draft. I'm happy Big Mike is getting his new offensive too. Yeah, I'm happy for Big Mike too, man. I am. Because when you look at history, man, like, they didn't even let Jason Garrett coach for his job. Like they took play calling from him and then told him that he would have to go out there and win with Kellen Moore. Right. And they did not let the man get back play calling duties at all. So I'm happy for Big Mike. Big Mike he really proved his value though. Back-to-back 12-win seasons, first time since the 90s, first road playoff win in 30 years. Like he proved his value to this team and to Jerry Jones and them. So, but again, I've been on here about 37 minutes. I just wanted to give you all my initial thoughts on this hiring of Brian Schottenheimer. So I will be back live again later on, man. I appreciate the love and support. So I will give y'all the show later on. Later on, be about an hour or some change. Might have a guest on, might not, but we will be live again to discuss some of the things happening around the league. And I appreciate y'all. So remember, like, share, and subscribe to the page. I'll get at y'all later. Peace.